All right, good to have you back on the program. We have a guest in the house who's going to be helping us with the review this morning. I'm talking about Engineer DK Ndolwe, the public affairs analyst. Good to have you on the program, sir.
Good morning, everybody, and join us in this program.
All right, let's kickstart with stories making the headlines on our ABS website.
All right, the first story there. Some residents embark on palliative work on the Ifejurika Street Road, Obinago, Oka, seek government intervention. More Nigerians eulogize late Ohaneze President Ikedife. Anambra State House of Assembly restates stand against use of pencils in financial records by local government councils. Anambra government hails State Police Command for arrest, prosecution of wanted crime suspect Ikanda. All right, those are the stories making the headlines on our website this morning. And I think we should start with the very first one, talking about palliative work at Ifejurika Street and Obinago Road. And then they're still calling for government intervention.
Actually, that place is a flood plain area. And when it rains, the quantity of storm water that goes through there makes the entire street or entire area a river. Actually, they should have called it River Ifejika. But be that as it may, it shows that the drainage provisions there failed, and there is need to do something. What the government is doing is proper for now, in order to, because palliative means a remedial action to avoid people from, to save people from further punishment.
Yeah, that's the residents there are the people doing the palliative work. They are not calling on government to come for proper work there.
Okay, well, government, I agree, will do something, but somebody has to initiate it, because we are part of government. Wherever you live, you are government per se. I admire their efforts by coming together to start something, because how is it said? Heaven helps those who help themselves. So, but I'm sure, having made it public, the relevant ministry will be certainly asked to go and take a look. And it's on the way. If you come through Akwata towards the Ministry of Works at the other side of the town, you have to pass through this street. So I'm sure they may have documented that for proper work.
All right.
I can't hold it for them, but I know, having been in that ministry as a permanent secretary, we look out for such things.
Okay.
Mainstream it into the budget and over time. So it's not something like you just see and you attend to it immediately. That's why the call for palliative, to assist them in the palliative, is proper. But to fix the road permanently, obviously, will take some time.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's look at the second story. More Nigerian eulogizes late Ohaneze President Ikedife.
Dr. Ikedife is a one-man giant. Giant not by physical prowess, by physical appearance, but by his contribution to the Igbo nation. He's a man who should be immortalized by giving names of streets or edifice or structure of government, because even as the chairman of Ohaneze at the time, he was all-reaching. He was reaching to all the Igbo states, and there were no crises at all during his tenure. After that, of course, he came to the level of elderly statesman in the sense of contributing wisdom, not just advice. And most times moderating certain actions too of the exuberant and youthful governors we've had. So he was a leader. He was a leader, and we'll remember him for that. Certainly.
All right, cool. Anambra State Assembly reinstates stand against use of pencils in financial records by local government councils. I don't know. We actually did talked about this before, and it's resurfacing again.
Yes.
What it means is that a group is not playing ball. Because why I say playing ball, not in sense of connivance, but doing the proper thing. Actually, in accounting, if you don't want to have mutilations, you do your draft. You do your draft in pencil. But when the job is finished and the I's dotted, T's crossed, it should be in print, in ink.
Right. So, not in pencil, that you can erase quickly, right?
But come to think of it, you know, when you go for budget discussion, not defense, discussion, it is not a final document. That is why it is called defense. I mean, discussion. So that whatever is agreed on finally will be inked. And I agree that.
But I get where you're coming from. But yes. If you look at what's happening here, what the Anambra State Assembly is standing up against, as regards to their financial report at the local government level, like this is what they do. It's not even about them going for a budget meeting or whatever. Like they take their records, financial records on pencils. I mean, we know.
These are some expenditures.
Yes, okay, that's already incurred.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I agree that it looks a bit shoddy, but there should be need. We have the local government auditor general office, who is the police of plus and minus. I mean, debit and credit at the local government levels, and it's in his place within his purview to ask questions. Organic melonka, what happened? Why should this be in pencil? Well, and there is need, again, having said that, since expenditure has been made, which means that income and outcome and expenditure there should be a balance. Then the final report should be in proper form.
Okay.
In proper form.
All right. Let's quickly move on to the very first papers this morning. Daily Sun. The story is making the headlines. The big one that policeman 8 killed in Ondo bank robbery. Well, on top of that, Igbo insists on 2023 presidency. Ohaneze orders foul plot against Southeast producing next president. Rivers heads may roll in army as panel concludes probe. Supreme Court dismisses Magnus Abe's suits on APC primaries. 2 Nigerians murdered by South Africans. Save us, Nigerians beg federal government. 9th Senate, Southeast should produce Deputy Senate President Carlo. Am not in alliance with opposition in Duma. 18 die in auto crashes in Niger and Ogun. Our big story, policeman 8 killed in Ondo bank robbery.
Well, I thought we're over with the days of robbery, that type of robbery, given the cashless economy we are gradually moving into. Yeah. But with this development, it means some people are going back to Egypt. Obviously, something of that magnitude, I'm not a dictative, but there is need to look inward because without proper information, such a thing would not happen. And if you look at, if you read most crime stories and reports, you find out that there's always an insider for something like that to take place. It's most unfortunate that the people were so ruthless, and I am convinced that with the kind of Nigerian police we have now, they will eventually get the culprits.
Of course they will get, because they lost some people from the police force.
Yes, so...
All right, let's look at the story. Igbo insists on 2023 presidency. Ohaneze orders fault plant against Southeast producing next president.
Well, it's a good one. I wouldn't say a tall ambition, but I'm as optimistic as the proposal itself or the person who proposed that. But I know that power or positions of that nature do not come by wishes. As na onye agbalumbo ki a weta ike na nwere onye je ka inye ike, which is to say positions like that are not just given in on a platter of gold.
Yes. You fight for it. Okay, let's quickly look at what's happening in South Africa. 2 Nigerians murdered by South Africans. Lately, it's been from one chaos to the other, from one crisis to the other in South Africa. And it looks as if the South Africans are out for the Nigerians, and hells are ruling, people are dying. And of course, Nigerians in South Africa are crying that the federal government should come to their aid.
You see, sometimes I take a panoramic view of the entire situation. It is most unfortunate that countries we helped to liberate, the country we helped to liberate, we are now paying with our blood. And it is most unfortunate, it is unfair, it is un-African, because we are known for hospitality. For us to turn around against each other is very, very condemnable. However, if you look at the situation vis-a-vis what happens in the country called Nigeria, here in Nigeria, Nigerians are killing Nigerians like chicken. So a foreigner will see it as, oh, these people may be human guinea pigs. And charity starts at home. If we want to assert our right wherever we are found, we must start first from our country. Yes.
All right.
So, but I condemn what South Africa or South Africans are doing, believing that we contributed men and resources in the liberation of South Africa.
All right, we'll be going for a short break now. When we return, of course, Press Review continues. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Life evolves. You should too. 3G is great. 4G is better. Buy an Airtel SIM to enjoy double data on Nigeria's widest 4G network.
All right, glad to have you back. We're still in Press Review, analyzing the paper this morning, and engineer DK Ndulwe is still here with us, helping us with the analysis. We're moving on to the next papers this morning, the Daily Times, stories making the headlines on the Daily Times.
All right, the stories making the headlines there. I'll contest for Senate President. Ndume insists, says he is still holding consultations. Group jams support for Borno South Senator. Dogara kicks against imposition of leaders on 9th National Assembly. Up there we have Buhari woods UAE investors with high return of investments. PDP queries federal government over 24.38 trillion naira debt profile. Supreme Court denies split among justices over Onongen. Africans' economic growth recovery would take longer. World Bank. Realignment for growth. Fidelity Bank appoints 3 new executive directors. All right, the big story. I will contest for Senate President, says Ndume. You know the tussles that are going on there for leadership.
Yes. It is, I wouldn't say rebellious, but it's really democratic
Okay.
It's very democratic. We agree that a party has the majority, but that does not mean you do a straitjacket on the entire house. It is undemocratic. So it is good. It will make democracy grow in this country to give them a free rein so that they choose who their leader will be.
And don't impose anyone on
And
them.
not to impose somebody on them, on the both houses. That's the Senate.
In chambers.
Yes.
Okay.
So it would be a grievous mistake to impose somebody, because you wouldn't know how somebody will react until you put him in a certain position. You may take him for granted that he will be a good boy, he will be very attentive and a stooge. But when he gets there, it may be different. But if you allow the House to make their choice, we agree, the leading party, will have the best of it. Because by imposing somebody, you've removed the oversight function of the House completely. And without that oversight function, we can as well have a one-party state. Oh, yes.
All right, let's move over to the next paper, the Punch newspaper.
Also is making the headlines. The big story on the Punch this morning: Nigeria's economy is sleeping. That's coming from World Bank. Oil rises above $71 as Libya's civil war threatens supply. Ndume meets Osibajo, says he's still in Senate presidency race. Policeman, vice principal, 4 others killed in Ondo Bank robbery. Rivers, PDP trying to intimidate Supreme Court justice, says APC. 25th killed in fresh Kaduna attack. Passengers flee as fire raises Imo Airport. Lagos bricklayer gets life sentence for defiling 7-year-old niece. Federal government seeks private investors for aircraft leasing. Xenophobia, 2 Nigerians stabbed to death in South Africa. National Assembly, we aren't in a hurry to release zoning formula, says APC. 18 die in Ogun, Niger, as tipper lorry crashes into Dangote truck. Onagen's exit hasn't divided us, Supreme Court judges. Nigeria's economy sleeping. World Bank is speaking.
Well, it's not something to take for granted. Okay. For an institution like World Bank to signpost that our economy is gradually going back to the wood calls for a full dress rehearsal of how to recover it before it even gets nearer the wood. We know that sometimes out of brazen impudence, the dispensation at whatever time will always say, no, it is not true, only to wake up with ugly realities when the thing is already above knee level, when the flood is already above knee level. So it is a clarion call on the present dispensation to actually buckle up and shed sentiments and empty rhetorics, because it's not a question of it is not true. It is true. No, it is not true. And get down to work on the economy. That is my contribution, that we need to do something.
Let's see this. Passengers flee as fire raises Imo Airport.
That happened yesterday.
Yes. It's unfortunate that such thing could happen in spite of the facilities of fire alert, different types you have installed, that should be installed in such public structures. But if it has happened, it has happened. So, I thank God too that no life is involved, that life was not involved. The cardboard and the plywoods for the such structures will always be replaced.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
My
further-
advice is that they should install fire alarm. Smoke. It starts with the smoke before the fire.
Federal government seeks private investors for aircraft leasing.
All right, we have a caller before you react to that. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. Your name and location. Please speak up. Yeah, good morning.
Hello?
Yeah, what's your name and your location?
I'm calling you from Oka.
All right, quickly go to your contributions.
Right?
Quickly go to your contributions. Contribute. What's your contributions?
Okay. We don't talk about profit, but I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Just like the same house, you see of ours. I don't know if you are different from other countries.
Can you speak up a little bit so that we get to your question?
Okay.
Hello? All right, let's quickly
Alright.
go to the last paper this
Grab the
morning before we
Nation.
move. The Nation's newspaper stories making the headline.
All right, bandits kill 20 in Kaduna, 5 bankers, principal, policeman die in Ondo bank robbery. The attackers stormed the village and they were shooting indiscriminately, and everybody started running into the bush. They were pursuing us as we ran. Some of them were wearing military uniforms with bulletproof vests. This one happened in Kaduna State. Governors, senators gang up against Magu. 2 Nigerians stabbed to death in South Africa. World Bank cuts growth forecast to 28%. Fire got Imo Airport's arrival terminal. Jam to candidates, no makeup exams. Yobo, experience won't win AFCON. Buhari decries use of cyberspace to manipulate election. All right, let's look at the story of governors and senators ganging up against Magu.
Well, the gentleman has been a controversial person, we all know, from what the House had for him. A number of times he had been brought before the House for authentication, and the same number of times the House turned away from doing that. What it shows is that there is something he does for the dispensation that they don't want to dispose of him. And again, for that reason, people, that's especially from the who should have given the green light, don't want to approve of him. I don't think there is anybody in this world that is indispensable.
Sure.
He could be given another appointment and removed from the eyes of the storm, because I don't think it is complementary to the system. It shows recalcitrancy needs, that is being recalcitrant to goodwill of the people.
All right. I think that's actually the much we really can take today, because time is really not our friend. But of course, you can always go out, pick the papers, and get to read up whatever stories that interest you. And on that note, we want to say a very big thank you to Engineer D.K. Ndolwe, a public affairs analyst. Many thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to us.